Hello, Crossroads is a very offering concept for your event. Can you please explain for our visitors which is the meaning more precisely of this concept?
Well,
yes,
you first.
Okay. Well, Crossroads. If you look at the complexity of the pension world, you see many aspects are divided. For example, tax, or international structures, or investments, and they're all looking at their own way of handling. We want to combine all these aspects in one summit, the World Pension Summit, and have people talk together about their different angles and different types of questions. So that's why it's called Crossroads.
And especially also because it's a global issue. So all these points in crossing the road, these cross the road points are internationally discussions, and this platform is aimed to be a strategic international platform.
So as far as I understand, it's about many trades, but also about many cultures mixing together in one issue.
Absolutely. I think it's very essential that we mix the lessons learned from many countries. For instance, China building their pension structure at this stage. They are really cherry picking and looking at the best possible options they can find, for instance, in Europe, in the US, and Latin America. But even the old countries like Europe can learn again from China because they are implementing faster than the old economies. And we can learn from them to adopt new strategies, new ways of involving participants, for instance, new structures, new governance rulings to implement again back in Europe.
As far as I understand, the World Pension Summit is a multi-annual event. Can you tell us more about the history of this event?
Well, that's a good question, because this is the first year that we have the World Pension Summit, and we are intending to do it every year again. So next year, November, we are going to have a World Pension Summit number 2 in Amsterdam, and we are also expanding to Asia. So we are planning in Singapore our next event, let's say mid-2011.
Which do you think are the hot points of this edition, the most interesting speakers and the most interesting topics?
Well, if you look at the landscape at this very moment, we are really struck by the economical crisis. So everyone is a little bit upset. What can we do? What do we have to do to be able to cope with the future? And this is really a sort of earthquake within the pension area. And what you see is that now people are really looking at each other to help or to get across borders. And I think one of the lessons learned is that people are, after 25 years, it was a very well organized situation in most European countries at least. And everyone thought, we have it all. And now with the economic differences and economic crisis, well, we're looking around us and say, well, maybe we're not so good at all. So we have to rethink again.
It's managing perceptions. There was once an idea, I've got a pension, I'm well off, when I'm 65, I don't have to worry. Apparently, also what Eric says, due to the economic crisis, but also because of bad investment structures within pension funds occasionally, well, the money evaporated and people are left with a small pension, 40–50% of their end wage. And you cannot live from that. And of course, people are getting older, and we should be happy about that, but we need money to support that. And if you look at the cost for healthcare, that's also a component we're going to add to our next conference. It's a real big financial challenge to finance our old age. And it's just not just living an income, it's also taking care of healthcare.
You have launched an interesting idea earlier in your introducing speech, that it is for our generation now to build a secure pension future for the young people who are traveling a lot, living around the globe, changing the countries from year to year, but never thinking to their pension.
Well, that's a fact of life, because we all know that young people up to their 40–45 years old, they don't think about pensions at all, because they just have a life, they have children, etc., etc. They have a career, and what comes next is next. It's not the day-to-day aspect. So people neglect it, and it's not a thing to be neglected, because if you want a secure financial future, you have to start beginning when you start your career, your professional career. And well, people at 22, 23, 24 years old, when they start working, they have to sort of think about their financial path, how it should look like, especially when you get older and older and healthier. You need money, as Harry said, you need money to support that. And maybe we have to rethink about work, life, living, having a pension. Maybe people stretch it out in a different concept, because now people are, if you look at the Netherlands, people at 65, they stop working, they get money and think, finally I've stopped working. Maybe you should spread it out a little bit more. Maybe you can work till your 70s if you're healthy. And only with a little bit slower pace, fewer days a week, whatever. I mean, you should look at it as a different concept. So that's why we have to work for that.
Is it this a new culture of working and changing careers and transforming maybe your hobbies from the youth in your new job in the elder years?
Well, I think that's a challenge, and if I look at the youth, and Eric mentioned that expressing the case of his daughter, young people are very mobile, they work, they live, and they travel much more than our generation did, and I think they will absolutely take care of themselves. So the importance of managing the individual financial planning will be top of mind of them, because they are going to work in China for 3 years, come back to Europe and live in London, while building up pension schemes, for instance, in Belgium or in the Netherlands as well. So that will be a major challenge, also managing the information side. That's also one of the key topics at our present summit here, because all these elements should be combined and aggregated. And if you have a good picture of your financial position, you know how to budget, you know how to plan. And of course the youth, and that's one of the key issues I think that is still lacking. The youth should be trained much more in their fundamental education at grammar school, starting at grammar school, high school and universities, in how to deal with your money.